Hello everyone, welcome back to Beaver Science Academy, Bengaluru. This is daily news analysis session. We'll be discussing some important articles from UPSC perspective. The first article for 15th July 2025 is about India's turn to repay the Green Revolution debt. Okay, so the article discusses about CIMMOT. CIMMOT is International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center. Okay, it helped a lot to India's progress in the green revolution, but currently it is running through certain issues, mainly the funding issue. United States was the chief contributor to CMIT, but now they have removed their funding. As a result, CIMMOT is going through certain stress, that is financial crunch is going on. So the article discusses that since you have got so much out of CIMMIT, why not help CIMMIT by providing certain funds? Okay, so USAID, the major funder of CIMMOT, was shut down from July 1, 2024 by the Trump administration. International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, which was crucial to India's green revolution, now seeks increased support from India. About CIMMOT, it is headquartered in Mexico. It is a premier institute for wheat and maize research. It was founded with Rockefeller Foundation and Mexican government to support the 1940 and 50s. It was a time when the whole world was going through some sort of food insecurity. As a result, to help the food security in Mexico, this organization was founded. Norman Borlaug, the founder or the father of Green Revolution, was closely associated with this. Okay, Norman Borlaug is the father of Green Revolution in the world. However, the father of Green Revolution in India is someone else. If you know him, write down in the comment box. Developed high-yield semi-dwarf wheat varieties. India first adopted CIMMOT wheat varieties in 1964-65. In 24, US contributed 83 million out of 211 million funding that goes to CIMMOT. So now they are left with around 130 million. So which is not enough to continue the working. Then what did India gain from Green Revolution? Indian scientists adopted CIMMOT and IRRI varieties to local conditions. Key Indian varieties of the wheat were Kalyan Sona, Sonalika, HD 22585, etc. In rice, Swarna, Samba Masuri, etc. etc. Over 90% of basmati exports are from IARI bread varieties, which was inspired by IRRI. What is IRRI? International Rice and Research Institute. In 2024-25, India exported 6.1 million tons of basmati, which is worth 5.94 billion. Okay, just imagine in 1964-65 when India first started using IRRI and CYMMIT seeds, India was going through food insecurity. So much so that people are dying because of famines. Now, because of the use of these seeds, India has become a food surplus. Not only is it supporting its economy, but also it is exported to the other worlds. Okay, so India implemented these yields from 1964-65 and the yield increased from 1.15 to 4.45 tons per hectare, almost a 4-time increment. Okay, then now why should India contribute to CIMMIT, and why does India still need CIMMIT? In 24-25, 6 out of the 10 wheat varieties used CIMMIT germplasm. Even now, CIMMIT germplasm are very important. CIMMIT offers advanced germplasm, AI tools, gene editing, and climate resilient crop technologies. So it is necessary even now. It is critical for addressing heat, drought, nitrogen use efficiency, and future food security. So what should India do? India has contributed just 8 million to 0.8 million to CIMMIT, whereas it has contributed 18.3 million to IRRI. So now India should focus on contributing to CIMMIT as well. Then We'll skip this one. We'll discuss in a shorts itself. It is a short topic is there, so we'll discuss in a short. Then again, a locust swarming. We'll discuss in the topic of the day. Then women in STEM careers and industries role in inclusive growth. Very important, especially for this year's GS 2 and 3 as well as SA. Okay, so today, that is July 15th, is celebrated as World Youth Skills Day. The focus on this day has turned to the STEM education and employment gap in India. Why people are graduating from STEM but are not able to find jobs in STEM? What is STEM? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These are the subjects. People are graduating but are not able to find the jobs. The data here is, despite having 43% female STEM graduates, only 27% of India's STEM workforce are women, indicating a systematic and societal barriers. Okay, so what is this paradox of participation? India has the highest share of female STEM graduates globally among the major economies. Yet, female representation in STEM jobs is very low due to mainly societal stereotypes. The stereotypes such as, or the prejudices such as, mechanical means masculine and women can't do masculine jobs. Coding isn't for girls. All these are certain societal stereotypes. As a result, there is lesser job opportunity for women in STEM. And also workflow challenges, that is workplace challenges such as unwelcoming environments, lack of support during life transitions, and also awareness gaps in families and communities. So in the recent trend, this is very important. Female participation rate, or the female labor force participation rate, is 41.7% overall. However, it is higher in rural areas at 47.6% and only 25.4%. You can guess why? Because most of the women or labor force participation from female is going into agriculture, and they are not able to find jobs in STEM at the urban level. And there is an interesting report which we had discussed before also, that is, according to McKinsey 2025 report, 700 billion potential GDP boost by 2025 if 68 million more women join the workforce. Okay, if there was a if 68 million women had been included in the workforce, then our GDP had grown by 700 billion. But now we have missed the window because it is already 2025 and still the labor force participation is only at the 41.7%. And also 1% GDP growth with 50% female participation. So if you bridge it to 50% of overall participation, then we can bring the GDP growth by 1%. So what did the government do to address this? First is NEP, that is National Education Policy 2020, promotes STEM and skill integration, focus on reviving ITIs, vocational training and tech-based skilling, and also gender budget raised to 8.8% in Union Budget 25-26. Key initiatives are Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Skill India, Digital India, PM Vishwakarma Yojana. All these schemes are aimed at skilling women. Then there is an issue, that is the missing link, that is from education to job there is a link missing. That link has to be filled by the industry. So this article argues for greater role to industries. Industry must evolve from passive recruiter to active enabler, not just going to the institutions or not just going to the educational organizations and recruiting the people. Instead, you should act as an enabler, that you should bring awareness on the type of skills that are required in the present market. How you can do is by addressing gender bias and stereotypes, ensuring workplace safety, equitable pay and career support, and support transitions during the marriage, childbirth and caregiving. According to UN Women's VSTEM program, which promotes skill access, role models in classroom and workplace awareness and family engagement. These should be rolled out throughout India. Okay, then so what should be the blueprint for industry leadership? there is a need for collaborative solutions where which addresses mentorship networks, industry academia linkages, and inclusive HR policies, that is human rights policies and workplace designs, and support for non-linear career paths for women as well. So in conclusion, the article argues on bridging the education to employment gap is not just a social necessity but also an economic necessity. Future ready India demands workforce that reflects its talent pool, which includes even women as well. So, empowering women in STEM amplifies their voices across homes, industries, and policymaking spaces, shaping a stronger and more equitable society. So, this has a cascading effect. Okay, if more women are in workforce, then they'll be able to have higher voices where in family or in homes, in industry, and in policy making. What will this do? It is again going to empower women. So more women empowerment, obviously it is going to help in GDP and also bring social indicators. So this is a cascading effect and a virtuous cycle. So women in STEM employment should be promoted. Then the importance of India and Europe working in step by step, which is an editorial written by Shashi Tharoor. Why in news? It is said that amid global disorder and shifting alliances, India and Europe are emerging as natural partners, aspirational middle powers with a shared democratic values, strategic autonomy, and a stake in multipolar world order. So, in the global disorder, mainly led by USA, China, and closely followed by Russia. So now there is a gap, which gap should be met by or filled by middle powers, aspirational middle powers. That is how Shashi Tharoor terms India and Europe. They have a role to play. We'll discuss with respect to context. A world in a flux. Traditional transatlantic unity is weakened, particularly due to former US President Trump's transactional worldview and disdain for multilateralism. What is this transatlantic unity? That is, if you consider this as a USA, if this is Atlantic Ocean and this is Europe, so they shared a transatlantic relation between these two. It was very strong between Europe and Northern America. But now this has been broken by Trump. Europe is moving towards strategic autonomy. They want to become independent of USA. How? By which is marked by Macron's nuclear assertions, Germany's defense investment post-Ukraine war, post-Brexit UK recalibrating alliances, Canada diversifying beyond US ties, which shows that everyone is moving away from the US. India's foreign policy has evolved from non-alignment to multi-alignment, navigating between US and China rivalries. So now both are looking for multilateral alignments. For Europe, they want to move away from USA. For India, they want to move away from China and Pakistan centric view of India. So there are converging interests, that is India and Europe as a middle powers, that is both support rules-based international order, inclusive multilateralism, and a global South empowerment. This I am not sure how true it is for Europe, but it is very much true for India. Then India EU engagement takes shape on institutional level with respect to climate change, trade, security, and technology. At bilateral level, in deepening ties with France, Germany, Italy, Nordic, and Eastern EU members. And then there is economic and technological synergies between both the countries, both the stakeholders. That is, FDI from the EU to India rose by 70% between 2015 to 2022. France alone saw a 373% rise. EU imports from India doubled in 3 years. The India-EU trade and investment agreements need to be fast-tracked with an early harvest approach. That is, must align climate goals with the climate equity and not climate protectionism. India Middle East Economic Corridor as a modern Silk Road for trade, innovation, and connectivity, and also as an alternative to Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. In technology, both sides share a vision. In Europe, deep tech, digital manufacturing, and semiconductors, and in India, scalable digital platform, public goods, and innovation. These are the things where they are sharing the common ideology in technology. And also, the focus is on human capital and mobility. A mobility agreement for students, researchers, and professionals is vital. And there is already certain project called as Erasmus Plus, which provides scholarship from Indian students who go and study in European Union. However, it has to be in a larger way. Promotes talent exchange, combats employment, and boosts bilateral innovation. And defense and strategic cooperation. Europe is a key defense partner in potential at the potential in co-development, tech transfer, which is going to help in Atmanirbhar Bharat rearm 2025. Cyber security, maritime security, space collaboration, and counterterrorism. These are the areas of convergence between India and Europe. Political will needed on issues like Pakistan's extremist support. And there is also a shared global vision between the both countries, both the stakeholders. Both champion multilateralism, reform in UN and WTO, and balanced participation in forums like Quad, AI governance, and G20. Middle powers like India and Europe can stabilize global governance against coercive great powers. Now, changing perceptions and not just policies. That is, strategic intent must be supported by public awareness, media narratives, and diplomatic empathy. Events like Raisina Dialogue Marcel and Ursula von der Leyen's visit to India are steps forward. Okay, very important. In conclusion, according to Shashi Tharoor, India and Europe must transition from tentative engagement to strategic alignment. Their partnership is one of conviction and not of convenience, which is rooted in shared values and mutual geopolitical compulsions. Walking in step, they can offer a vision for more stable, inclusive, and equitable global order. Okay, so there is another important article which I will cover thoroughly in topic of the day discussion again. Okay, and then moving to the prelims pointers. First is about Patriot Air Defense Missile System. What is it? It is a air defense system of the United States, which has recently announced the deployment of its Patriot Air Defense System to Ukraine in response to increasing Russian aerial aggression in the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So, what is Patriot system? It is phased array tracking radar for intercept on target. Type all altitude, all weather, surface to air missile defense system. What is missile defense system? If this is Ukraine, if there is a Patriot system, if the missiles are sent from Russia, then this Patriot defense system is going to intercept these missions, so these missiles in the air itself, so that they are not hitting the ground. Then manufacturers are Raytheon Technologies Corp, and operating countries are US, Germany, Japan, Israel, South Korea, etc., which is one of the more advanced components, more advanced air defense system. So components of Patriot, it helps in track and detecting threats. It is engagement control stations are there, that is command and control stations. There are up to 8 launchers per battery. Each launcher holds 4 ready-to-fire missiles. Power generators, communications equipment, and mobile vehicles are present as well. Personnel, there are 90 soldiers per battery are required. However, only 3 are required during the combat operations. Okay, so some of the other anti-missile system are Israel's Iron Dome and India's very own Prithvi air defense system, and also the famous S-400 Triumph of Russia. Okay, all these are some of the more advanced defense systems, missile defense systems. Then Tungabhadra River. Recently, there was a very disturbing news, that is, the bodies of 3 Karnataka youths were recently discovered from the Tungabhadra River near Mantralayam in Andhra Pradesh in Kurnool district, highlighting the river's geopolitical and cultural relevance. Okay, now we'll understand about Tungabhadra river. So geographical profile, it is a peninsular river tributary of Krishna river. It origins at Tunga and Bhadra rivers at Kudli near Shimoga, Karnataka. Source is both rivers, that is Tunga and Bhadra, originate from eastern slopes of Western Ghats. It is about 531 km long in total length, and states covered are Karnataka, AP, and Andhra Pradesh. Confluence joins Krishna River at Sangamaleshwaram, Andhra Pradesh, and drainage basin is about 69,592 kilometers. So monsoon dependency mainly the southwestern monsoon, and also significant because of the Raichur Dwab. And cultural note, it is referred to as Pampa in Ramayana and regarded as sacred in Hinduism. Okay, there are many tributaries are there, and key dams are Bhadra Dam, Himawati Dam, Tungabhadra Dam. And historical significance is Hampi, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, lies on Tungabhadra bank. So these are the articles which I want to discuss today. Rest of the articles which I have not discussed, I will be covering them in either YouTube shorts or either in topic of the day. So you won't be missing any important articles. So if you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind.